Sourkidsproductions.
What's going on, folks? Welcome into another episode of the Final Drive here at the Sour Kids Production Studios. It is Alec. It is Tony back in the studio. Very excited to have you back, Tone Dog. It's been a couple of weeks. How you been, brother?
Been pretty good. Doing pretty all right. Cowboys are doing good, so
That must be nice.
great.
NFC East is doing very well.
It is.
Who would have thought? No one.
Yeah.
Don't sell.
It's because people I knew that were high on Washington, I was like, all right, don't get your hopes too high. It's just not a good organization. I'm sorry.
The
Giants were more concerning than the Commanders, in my opinion.
Right.
And then I knew Philly was going to be good, and so.
But did you think the Giants were going to be like 6-1 good?
No.
No, not that. I mean, I thought the ball was the right guy for this team.
I think at this point they would have been we're in week 7, so a 3-loss team.
Yeah, like the ball, I thought going in was the right fit for to be like the new guy, like bring a new culture and kind of get this whole nasty feeling out of the Giants, because it feels like the last couple of years, between McAdoo, between Joe Judge, between who was there before Joe Judge? I'm trying to remember. Was it McAdoo?
McAdoo,
Yeah.
and then, was it Coughlin before that? And then
No, Shermer. So like the whole culture on the Giants was they're losing, they're awful, and it just seemed like a very negative environment to be in. But now with the ball, with Saquon Barkley kind of having like this whole second rejuvenation in his young career, Daniel Jones too, I might add. Like, I almost feel bad for Daniel Jones because, like, if the ball had come a year earlier, then maybe he could have salvaged Daniel Jones enough to make you think maybe you can play with Daniel Jones. But now I feel like, he's going into last year, they didn't pick up the 5th-year option, so I would bring him back, but he's probably going to be competing with some rookie or, a veteran. But kudos to the Giants, man. It's a cool story. And the Jets, too, at that. Both New York teams.
They're doing great.
Despite losing Breece Hall to the ACL, the Jets are...
They went and got James Robinson,
Yep.
which is a great move.
They're now 5-2. They're... Who would have thought the New York teams very much alive, obviously. Let's talk about Week 7 in the NFL. Lots of action, lots of lots of fun. The Bengals, Joe Burrow and the Bengals look like they kind of got back on track. I mean, Jamar Chase had an absolute ridiculous day. Burrow 4 touchdowns in total.
You were loving that with fantasy.
Yeah, Joe Vid was alive and well with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. The Colts, interesting because they lose to Tennessee. And then the report came out Matt Ryan suffered a shoulder injury. But then yesterday, Frank Reich came out and said he's benching Matt Ryan for Sam Ehlinger.
I like the move, too.
Interesting.
Because Ehlinger looked somewhat decent. Was it last year he played? He had some playing time?
Yeah, and then the preseason this year looked
exactly.
Really,
I thought he looked pretty solid, And I think he's just one of those, he's just a team player kind of guy. Like, I wouldn't say he's a bus driver necessarily, but, it's just he's going to do what he needs to do for the team.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
that's why I like him.
Hoping to get Taylor back fully healthy at some point will help, but if you're Matt Ryan, you went through the Deshaun Watson thing in the offseason in Atlanta, kind of, very quickly, agreed to trade you and move on, and then Watson didn't come to Atlanta, so then he picks Indianapolis, which we all thought going into the year, that's a great pick. That's a great team to be for a veteran.
He had a great receiving core, young, promising receiving core. Arguably the best running back in the league, followed by a very good backup running back too. I guess top half of the defense. I would say it's top.
When healthy, they are.
Top 15. Yeah, it's in the middle of the pack, but still it can.
In the AFC South,
you still have one of the better linebackers with Leonard. So
and that really hasn't been the case for the Matt Ryan. He struggled a lot this year. The offensive line has not been healthy. And once again, it looks like the Colts, now it looks like a team that was trying to fill the void with a veteran quarterback, trying to win now. and now it just looks like it has not paid off for the Colts. You know,
so I say start rebuilding, but you got like the pieces to do not like a complete rebuild, but just enough.
like a soft reboot.
Exactly. Yeah. So Jonathan Taylor's your main dude. I like them, putting in Ellinger now, seeing how much he can do this season. Because I think that's what the point is. Like, I feel like they've already lost hope with this season. I think they're just like, screw it. Let's see what we can get done. I get out of this guy.
Yeah.
Just because what their division is Jacksonville, who's looking pretty solid, right? That's the same division?
Yes, AFC South.
So
Tennessee leads the division.
You got Tennessee, who's you can go for that throne, but Jacksonville's right there with them.
And the Titans already swept them, which doesn't help.
So
and the Jags.
Yeah, Jags look.
Yeah, Jags swept them too.
So it's just one of those things that you just really can't compete in that division as of right now. Those division losses mean too much. You know, you can only afford to lose 2 in total by getting. So if you get swept by 2 teams
twice,
it's like you call it quits. You can't do anything with that.
Yeah, and I mean, look, the one thing I will say, but I'll shout out to Matt Ryan for being a seasoned veteran, handling this, embracing it very well, because this was a guy who, played for a team for 10 plus years. You saw how they kind of did him in the last couple of days of the Watson trade. Handled it like a pro, I thought.
Yeah.
Came here, has struggled, has openly said that, it's his fault and he's got to do better. Gets hurt, and then they ultimately could decide to bench him for Frank Wright said for the rest of the season, the plan is going to be Sam Ehlinger. So Matt Ryan's already come out and said he's going to embrace the role, help out Ehlinger however he can as a veteran quarterback. So that's a pro's pro. You talk about the Alex Smith. Yeah, that's the one guy. So we'll see what happens with the Colts. Tennessee, they lead the division, but I'm very confident
I
them
think
doing anything.
Is still very much so right about his prediction. With remember he said they're not going to do great.
They'll win the division, but
he was saying how they were going to fire what's his name,
Vrabel,
and I can still see it happening just because that division it's not good, and they just don't look. Tennessee just doesn't look flashy. I don't see any
It's their style of football. They have Derrick Henry. You know what you're gonna do. You know what you're gonna do with Derrick Henry.
There's only so much you can do with Derrick Henry, and that's run the ball.
As long as he does it in the regular season for fantasy purposes. I don't care what the Titans do after that. Washington, big win against the Packers.
I love it. Good for Washington because y'all are not in it. Sorry.
Taylor Heineke came in and filled in pretty admirably for Carson Wentz. That dime to Terry McLaurin over Jair Alexander. I mean, Terry McLaurin is that dude. I mean,
Well, I'm glad Heineke is that quarterback for Terry McLaurin's sake because with Wentz, was he any good?
It's tough to say because I know statistically speaking, Wentz was a top 5 quarterback in almost every category going into the week. However, Washington's defense has been not what it was a couple of years ago, and then they did not run the ball with Gibson a lot this year, but now they got Brian Robinson back. They're trying to run the ball more. So Wentz was the least of their problems, but it's still Carson Wentz.
Yeah, he's still. This is what he did at Indy, was turn the ball over relentlessly, but still put up good numbers at the same time to where he'd fake you out. He's a
on paper
he's a bad quarterback.
On paper you would think, yeah.
You could flip on the TV and see him lay out a dime, and then 2 minutes later you can look back and then see him throwing a pick six, the worst pick you've ever seen. You're just
Carson Wentz.
He's like a Jameis Winston, if we're gonna be honest.
You're not. It's just crazy to see. Crazy to think how long ago 2017 was when you had that MVP season, and people were debating. Do you trade Wentz? Do you trade Foles? Who do you start? And now look where we're at.
And I just
I was on the Foles train personally.
I was on the
Foles train. I thought they should have kept Foles.
But now that Dallas had that issue earlier in the season, now I'm like, I get it. But like, what the difference was that was in playoffs when it mattered,
and Nick Foles was dealing it,
and that I was like, that's when every game counted.
Yep.
You can give Wentz his due, but like, Foles took care of business.
And not to mention the year after when, in 2018, they were struggling. Wentz got hurt late in the season, and who did Philly turn to? Once again, it was Nick Foles, and XYZ needed to happen, but Foles got his part done. And then we beat them in the opening wildcard round, but it was a whole conundrum because it's like, well, Foles, and the moments we've needed Foles to come through, he comes through.
Exactly.
And with Wentz, crazy how long ago that was. Green Bay, on the other hand, 3-4.
Love that. Love it. Keep going.
The Packers, I think they're in deep trouble.
And I love the teams that they lost to because they've lost to the Giants, the Commanders now. They've lost to
Minnesota,
and then the Jets.
Yes.
See, lost to both New York teams.
And Washington.
And Washington, Your only decent loss was to the Vikings,
who are 5-1.
And
we'll
that's
see.
What I'm saying. Like, it's a decent one. I'll give you that. Or a decent loss. Like, that's a team you can lose to.
Yeah, man. Green Bay, and I mean, everybody wants to sit there, and it's fair to say that it's the receivers and, just young and they really don't know. They can't contribute. But at the same time, if I'm Aaron Rodgers, he's made some bad throws. He's made some like it's like
mistakes.
You can't sit there and blame the receivers and say that's it. But this is equally on Aaron Rodgers as well. I feel like,
because I think the biggest standout where I knew Rodgers was just like, oh, he's actually a liability. Sometimes was in that Giants game at the end. Like, he lost that game.
Yeah,
it wasn't like anybody else. That was him. So.
Yeah, the fourth and short were, if you look back at it, he had Dobbs open coming across, but instantly took the ball, facing a blitz, threw it right to Lazard on the comeback, and
batted away.
I could sit here and tell you that, if I'm Aaron Rodgers, why not retire at the end of the season?
Yeah,
you got your money from the Packers once again. Devontae's not going to come back, and I mean, legacy-wise, I think his place is kind of cemented. Yeah,
it's like you've already done enough to where you're considered one of the best. Not by me, but
it's just interesting for the Packers.
You got enough story in your career. Just call it quits.
Yeah,
kind of like Brady.
Yeah, it's a whole different animal right there with Tom Brady. But
he tried to love his family at least. Not fucking Rodgers.
He tried. You say unlike Rodgers?
Yeah.
So let me ask you, what were some of your takeaways from this past week in week 7?
Well, I'm gonna obviously talk about Dallas.
All right, let's talk about Dallas then, because I think people have a lot of different takes on Dallas right now as far as Dak. Yada yada yada. So let me hear your thoughts on the Cowboys right now.
I'll take the critiques for Dak. I'll start off there because I knew going in, I was like, Dak is not gonna light it up like people think. He's not gonna throw for 400 yards.
He's never been that quarterback.
Well, last year he was he was consistently throwing 300 plus every game. So he was looking like that. But my thing was, no quarterback is just gonna come back after 5 or 6 weeks of being on the sideline, gonna throw like he used to. I'm sorry, it's gonna be a rhythm. It's gotta get your groove back. Which that's why I'm thanking God that we had teams like Detroit and we have Chicago who played a pretty good game Monday. You have these games where that's a good opportunity for Dak to make those mistakes here and there. That way, come towards later in the season, you're not making them there. You're not making them when it matters. You're making them whenever these games that aren't not even in our division.
Yeah, they
mean nothing. You can just get them out of the way now. So there's that. But as far as that, Dallas's defenses,
I think that's my takeaway from the Cowboys is now that they're a defensive team.
Yeah, and
I think with kind of the questions at the running back with Zeke and kind of how much more carries can Zeke take this year and split between Pollard.
When he missed practice because he has a
knee sprain. Yeah. CD, he's been cool as a number one. He hasn't taken over like I think everybody was expecting him to.
But it's also because of lack of Dak. You know, if Dak doesn't injure his thumb after week 1, they get it together and they kind of were doing stuff like, you know.
But also I think
better, you know, like with him, like instead of Cooper Rush, I think they like CD would have put up way better numbers and just looked like a number one.
But I also think you're missing a guy like Amari Cooper, who, say what you want about Cooper, at least it was somebody to keep an eye on. Because Cooper can make plays, he can get open. With Noah Brown, who was a cool fill-in, but you can't constantly rely on Noah Brown for the rest of the season to be your number 2. And
Gallup is our number 2.
And Gallup's been coming off the ACL. I understand you're going to be a step slower your first year coming back from the ACL, but nonetheless, I think this team's identity is now it's the defense with Micah Parsons, with Trayvon Diggs. You know, they just went trade for Jonathan Hankins, who's a big boy up in the middle. DeMarcus Lawrence. You know, I think the identity of this team is now we're going to hold you to 17 a game, and the offense can put up 20, 21. Just enough. You know what I'm saying? Because I think now it's kind of like, who would have thought a year ago this was an offensive team at this point in the season?
Was the best.
They were lighting it up a year ago,
and we were just getting turnovers on defense. Now we're getting turnovers, but we're making stops too. We're not like we're making stops whenever, like immediately. Like we're going out there and doing 3 and outs every time.
Yeah, that's the scary thing about the Cowboys, and I think the reason why people are, you know, going after Dak so much is that the opponent, the Lions, they were the worst defense in almost every category, and you struggled to really put up points until the defense got all the takeaways to kind of pull the game away. But like I said, I think the identity of this team has now shifted because, I mean, in my opinion, with Dak Prescott, he is what he is. I think Dak will, for the rest of his career, until he's like washed, he'll be a top 9 to 12 quarterback range. He'll be that, but I don't think he'll ever be like a Joe Burrow type, to where Burrow with the Bengals last year carried that team to a Super Bowl. Like you can't sit there and say the Bengals make it without Joe Burrow.
Oh yeah, no.
Like I think Dak, the ceiling is he is what he is. He's a top 10 quarterback, and I don't think he'll ever be. I think everything has to go right for Dak, team wise, to get to the Super Bowl.
And I think
I think people, I didn't mean to cut you off. I think people, like, based on what they saw last year, he was lighting it up, and people now are, with the contract, I think they're assuming that Dak should be in that Mahomes, Allen, Burrow conversation. It's like, he's not. He's a top 10 quarterback, but I think for him to win in the playoffs, everything has to go right for this team.
And I think that's the thing is, like, I think it really does have everything going for it. If you look
at
all facets, like, I think getting Dak back is, you know, better than Cooper Rush. I'm going to still point that out.
you were getting tired of the Cooper Rush
like,
fans.
Don't get me wrong. I would post the "you just lost to Cooper Rush" just because it was like a funny meme. But
no, he is a backup.
He's a backup, and he's a good backup. I'll put that there. You have one of the best rush offenses with Zeke and Pollard.
Yep.
Both of them.
They're utilizing Pollard a lot more this year.
And not only that, they're just like, I think. My issue is sometimes they'd put Pollard in when I'm like, just put Zeke in. Like when it's 2nd and 3, 2nd and 2, put Zeke in. Don't put Pollard in. Like, I know, like, you want to keep the defense honest, but like, it's not about honesty at this point. It's like, we have the better O-line. We have the better running back. We're just going to put it up. Like, just, you'd only need 2 yards. In a worst case scenario, you only get 1 yard. At least it's a 3rd and short. You know, you're not worrying about, like, I don't know. It's just like.
I know, we'll just say, shout out to Tyler Smith real quick.
Very good.
Because I think we all had questions right after Tyler Smith went down. How well would Tyler Smith hold down left tackle? You know, Dak's blind side, kind of like. Essentially, in the NFL today, that's your best lineman, right? Like, traditionally, the left tackle has to be your best lineman. And,
he's playing.
You know, I feel like Tyler, you know, it might be like a Romo and Dak thing. Like, I think if Tyron does come back at some point, I think the way this line is gelling right now, the continuity, the chemistry, I would leave Tyron on the bench. I'll play McGovern left guard. And keep Zach Martin. You know, I'll keep the lines the same with Tyler Smith because I think with Tyler Smith, you're better. As crazy as it may sound, I think you're better with Tyler at left tackle right now than a healthy Tyron.
I think
the decline is just that it's that much for Tyron Smith.
I think that's a very good point, but I think if you can take a step down from Tyler to Tyron, but go take a giant
upgrade
leap
at guard.
left guard.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather do that risk to reward ratio and see how that plays out, because then Tyron's just getting attacked. You can always just been like, all right, go back. It's like you can always bench Tyron. Like that's the thing is like you can make, and I know like during a game it'll be costly, but I mean to do it in these coming weeks maybe,
right?
But I haven't even heard reports about that. But I did hear talks about Jason Peters about to get cut.
That'd be interesting.
Just because
it's kind of crazy.
He's coming back, and
wait, who's coming back?
Good? Tyron.
Oh yeah, okay.
So you have Tyler Smith should be going back to left guard, but you also have McGovern playing good, and then you have Farnock, like the other guard. Our backup that we use as fullback.
Yeah.
Farniak, I think.
Farniak, yeah.
I couldn't pronounce his name, but they've all been playing good, so it's just like.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
And we just traded for a guy. It's like ooh.
It's kind of crazy how like when Peters came in, I think everybody kind of assumed Peters would play left tackle until they felt Tyler was ready to like play more. Mm-hmm. But after week 1, when they signed Peters, they told Peters, "Hey, you're split left guard reps with McGovern." Mm-hmm. Like I think that spoke right there like how much trust Tyler Smith has earned already after the first couple of games.
It just shows how much talent he has too.
Yeah, to make the multi-time Pro Bowler, the All Pro, 10+ year veteran Peters go kick in a guard and split reps there instead of him playing left tackle like they planned originally.
And just going back to what you were saying is like to not only to that, but to compare him to Tyron and being like, do we need Tyron back? Like the fact that you pointed out, like you can go without Tyron. It's
like a Ramon Deck thing.
Exactly. Like it's the fact that he's bringing those topics up. Like they're good discussions because like there's validity to both sides of the argument. Like no, you want to keep Tyron there just because he still brings a lot to the game, but it's like, well, like you said, continuity goes. He's Tyler's a hot hand that is like playing up. It's not like Cooper Rush is not a hot hand. He is just doing his job. He was doing his job. Whereas Tyler Smith, it's like, oh no, he's not doing his job. He's doing Tyron's job.
Yeah.
So
and there's always the risk of Tyron getting hurt once again if he were to come back in the lineup. So again, the Cowboys, I think they're in very good.
And I also want to point out, James Washington should be coming back here soon.
It's another receiver.
Exactly.
That'll be some help because I don't think Tolbert has quite caught up to speed as quickly as everybody hoped. And Gallup, is still kind of a step slower coming, off the ACL. Mm-hmm. Noah Brown's been a pleasant surprise as the guy who stepped up, but you just can't constantly count on that as the year goes along. So to get Washington back helps out quite a bit. And maybe they make a move for a low budget guy at the deadline. I know a lot of Cowboy fans want DJ Moore. I don't think the Panthers will trade him.
I was like, I don't think they will.
No,
especially because what we saw out of
PJ Walker.
He looked nice. They were just like passing. I'm like, damn, that was a good ball.
Shout out to the XFL because that's where him and Heineke were a year ago.
Oh, nice. I love that. Love that for them.
Heineke,
the fact they both played this weekend. Huh?
Oh, dear Lord, Tony.
What happened?
We got some news from Schefter. News you're not gonna like.
Huh?
The Philadelphia Eagles have just acquired Robert Quinn from the Bears.
Oh, I don't care.
Robert Quinn had 17 sacks last year, Tony.
I don't care.
It's another pass rusher. it's a dookie.
I don't care. I really don't care. We do not care.
Tyler Smith's got to lock him up, right?
Yeah, it's like, I really don't care. Like, I like our team enough to where, like, I just do feel like Philly is our, like, that's going to be our team, but, like, I'm not even scared of them. I'm like,
it's going to be an interesting game when, because the next game is going to be at AT&T, right?
Dallas.
It's gonna be interesting.
So I'm like, and then they did not play a good game against Dallas. Can we talk about that? Like, Jalen Hurts didn't play that great, did he?
I told you that's a defensive team now in Dallas.
And they played Cooper Rush.
It's a defensive team. Trayvon Diggs, a guy who I thought was essentially a better version of Marcus Peters, to where he's more of a zone coverage corner. He excels at jumping routes and playing the ball. Mm-hmm. He's impressed me a lot this year as a man-on-man corner. That's the thing about Diggs. I have to give my roses to him. Because, again, like people slander Diggs, and I knew what he was. I thought he was because Marcus Peters is almost the same kind of corner.
Yeah, it was very valid to critique him because it's like, oh yeah, you're getting interceptions, but
you bite on almost everything.
I was like, but you're letting guys get past you, you know?
Yeah.
And if there's better quarterbacks, they can take advantage.
And this year, he's looking a lot better as far as in one-on-one. So.
And some of my favorite plays from Diggs were not his interceptions, but they were his passes defended. Like, it was just like he would make a great play on the ball. Like, he would just make key stops. Like, I think against Washington, he had 2 red zone, like, you know, they were like, you know, back shoulder fades, and he just locked it down. Like,
it's a defensive team, man. I'm telling you, it's scary.
It's Robert Quinn, man. I love everything about it, and I like that our backups are playing like
you be Dan Quinn.
Dan Quinn. What did I say?
You said Robert Quinn.
Robert Quinn. I was like,
you got Eagles on the mind, huh?
I guess he's still.
You got Eagles on the mind right now, right?
But I look forward to playing them. And I think November we play them?
Yeah, that's gonna be a good game. I think that's gonna be probably for the crown. And other news, real quick, Shefty's just live tweeting right now. The New Orleans Saints announced Andy Dalton will start for them going against the Raiders this week.
Mac Jones is starting.
And Mac Jones will be back for the Patriots after what was a very confusing Monday Night Football.
Getting
that was interesting.
Bears, that was kind of crazy.
And then
it makes me a little concerned.
And then you switch up Mac Jones after not even before halftime, which was kind of bizarre, I thought, for Bill Belichick to do, but that's just where we're at right now, I guess. Dalton starting, I'm okay with that. I think Dalton should be starting going forward for the Saints. I think he's put up numbers, he's made good plays, and you know, with Thomas and Landry coming back, looks like this week with Olave, I trust Dalton more than I trust Jameis Winston.
Rightfully so.
So that's just kind of where I'm at.
You don't need a stellar quarterback.
No, with the weapons you have.
You just need a quarterback to not do turnovers.
And the other thing,
that's where Jameis
and I think the biggest problem with Jameis was he did not utilize Kamara in the passing game at all.
He just like
checkdowns were never there, and that was never in his eye of his line of vision. Dalton has utilized.
And if you think about Tampa, like, they've never really had running backs like that either. So, like, you can't really blame him. He would always go for the deep shots because your
but hey, that's where we are. The Saints. NFC South is poo-poo still, so we could still make a run for it if we're all healthy. But 9 wins is going to get you that division, I'm pretty sure. 9 wins is enough.
Because that's how the NFC East was for a while.
Yeah, well, the South. I think nobody saw the South being as rough as it has been between. I will say the one pleasant thing is Atlanta actually is like a lot more competitive and like
they're competitive, but they're still not a great team.
No, but they're playing a lot better than I thought they were going to be.
Yeah. And they're like surprising.
And then Carolina, let's talk about the Panthers. Obviously, they made the trade for they traded away Christian McCaffrey last week to the Niners. McCaffrey played against the Chiefs on Sunday. The Panthers had sent
their second, third, fourth, and fifth, right?
Yes, a 2023 second, third, fourth, and then a 2024 fifth. So, in essence, I thought this was a great move for the Panthers, only because that probably is the best package you're going to get for
a running back that's been injury prone.
Yep, and on a big contract. So kudos to the Panthers. And the Panthers, that's an interesting team in the offseason. I think if I'm a coach and I'm looking at where I'm going to go, like, kudos to the Panthers for not trading away DJ Moore and Derek Brown and Brian Burns. Yeah, they fired Matt Rule, which I think coaching was the problem in Carolina. But like you have young pieces that are attractive to a head coach. DJ Moore is a very good receiver. They just drafted the tackle from Ole Miss in the draft this year. I'm trying to blank on his name, but he's very good. Derek Brown in the defense, Jeremy Chin, J.C. Horn, Brian Burns. They have attractive pieces. So instead of calling a fire sale and trying to start over, I like what they're doing in that They're going to be competitive.
They're going to try to do their
and they're going to attract.
And this next season, you can get a head coach, and you can probably draft your draft stock's looking good.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, if you really wanted to, you could probably bring back Baker on the cheap next year to be your 1-year rental at quarterback and just see what you have in him with a full offseason. And I like the direction the Panthers seem to be going, and they're not trading away everybody.
Yeah.
They're going to wait and see what happens and use these guys to attract a good head coach rather than draft picks. So I like that for the Panthers. The Niners, on the other hand, and let me see if you agree with me on this. This all depends on McCaffrey's health. The moment he gets hurt and he's out for an extended amount of time, it's Panthers win the trade 100%.
Yeah, and I don't think there has to be loser-winner scenario. I think this was a definite win-win. You're getting a running back that, and I think that's the beauty in it. And I think the Niners know that, is that I think the issue with McCaffrey's injury, history, is because he was the focal point. Yep. He was no matter what, check downs, running it, he is the guy. Whereas now it's you have Debo, you have Kittle, you have weapons outside of McCaffrey. So now you're just now you're a piece. You no longer are you the entire offense. Now you're a piece of the offense. And I think the Niners saw it as that way. And I think that's the beauty. And you're giving away pieces, but you're in a win now mode, I think. And I think they're taking a page kind of from the Rams, but in a better way. Not this past offseason Rams, but the season prior. So we're they won it last year. I think they're taking a page out of that and saying, well, if we can get a good run game going, it's all over for us. I think that was truly the only thing they were missing on offense, really.
Yeah, because even if you're the Rams, you have Jeff Wilson, he's been solid. And then at some point, you're going to get Elijah Mitchell back, which then allows you to put McCaffrey outside a receiver, in motion, pre-snap, do whatever you want with them. So the Niners...
And you still have your young quarterback, which...
Trey Lance, yeah.
He didn't look promising.
It was 3 games, and he didn't play at all last year, and then really hadn't played football a whole lot before that because of the pandemic and then limited starts at South Dakota State. So I think you got to wait and see on Trey Lance, but for right now with Garoppolo...
But my thing was Niner fans were just they were just saying Trey Lance is the next greatest. He's the next Mahomes, everything, and it was just really? This is the guy where you were comparing Mahomes to? Come on, you can't be doing shit like this.
No, and I think that was the thing with the Niners going into the year. We all thought, okay, on paper, they're good everywhere except the question mark is at quarterback. And now with Garoppolo in the fold, you kind of know what you're getting.
And I want to give credit to Dallas and the Niners for not trading for Jimmy G. I'm glad Dallas said we're going to stick with Cooper Rush, and they won 4 games out of it. And Jimmy G got his starting job back, and the Niners are doing better they're doing pretty good with Jimmy G.
Yeah.
I know they just lost to Kansas City, but it's Kansas City. You
kind of run into that buzzsaw no matter what. That's the Chiefs.
Yeah, when you're not a top 10 defense in the league, there's just it's hard to stop.
Right.
And I'm not saying the Niners aren't a top 10 defense. I think it's either top 10 or top 12 for sure.
Yeah. I agree with that.
And it's low or high 10s, 9 or 8 at the highest, 10 at the
Yeah,
I can put it right there.
Yeah. Okay, now let's get into some overreactions from Week 7. These are courtesy of ESPN. They have some overreactions from Week 7. Let's see how we feel about them. If they're overreactions or if they're kind of not an overreaction. The first one they have here is the Seattle Seahawks are the team to beat in the NFC West. It's an overreaction.
It's an overreaction?
I think it's the Niners. Still. Even if they didn't have McCaffrey, I still would have picked the Niners.
I think it's a slight overreaction. Just slight.
So you're kind of buying into it a lot more.
It's one of those you got to keep an eye on them.
You got to respect the Seahawks.
I'm giving it to the Niners, but I'm
you got to respect.
I'm holding the crown, and I'm giving it to them in motion, but I'm watching Seattle, everything they do. Like I said, me and the Niners are holding. I'm like, it's on their head. I'm crowning the Niners, but my hands are still on the crown because I'm watching Seattle. You know.
Right. I mean, look, Seattle, and we talked about it before we started recording, but I mean, the draft class is a hit out the ballpark because you have two starting tackles, and they're both pretty solid. Kobe Bryant, the corner who leads the NFL in forced tackles, Tariq Woolen, who we talked to at the Senior Bowl, is absolutely lighting it up right now. Kenneth Walker, who, when given the opportunity, has shown up. Shout
out fantasy.
So I mean, it's not you got to respect Seattle at this point.
No, absolutely, and like we also talked about Geno Smith, who is not playing. Like, give Seattle credit. Like, yeah, they got rid of Russell Wilson, but like Geno Smith is like playing good football. Like, not playing serviceable, not playing great. He's playing good football, and like. It's you can't complain and you can't be like upset about it at all. There's nothing to like critique about it.
I would want Geno Smith on my team right now.
Yeah, but if you're a team like that's kind of question mark at quarterback, Geno Smith is like you're just like damn.
The Colts want Geno Smith right now. Maybe some Denver fans would want Geno Smith right now.
I don't blame them. What is with Denver getting like quarterbacks? Remember like Case Keenum?
Yeah, like Brock Osweiler, Trevor Siemian. They went through a rough phase before Russ,
and even then,
like, even now,
Russ is still.
Even now, it's pretty tough. So and notice, neither one of us said the Rams.
Yeah, the Rams are just like
I don't buy into the Rams. I think they're suffering. They're suffering the hangover, but also they're suffering from trading away all those high end draft picks because now you have to bank on. Lower drafted players and undrafted rookies to try to fill in the voids that you're missing, but
and not only that, whenever you think about injuries when they come up, they're going to be really bad, like in terms of like depth. Like we were talking about, like how these are lower ranked guys.
Yep.
And it's like I know like you can find hidden gems, but it's like well these guys are
not every seventh
that's not
round.
The case. Like you can get lucky, yes. But there's just times it's like they're back up for a reason. They're ranked there for a reason,
Yeah, exactly. I think also they can't run the ball. They can't play off. The offensive line has been train wrecked by injuries.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I was talking about. It's like
and they completely misuse Allen Robinson week in and week out.
It's pretty crazy. I think people should just give up hope on Allen Robinson. Like it's done. The talent was there. We know everything about it.
But just the Rams aren't using him the right way is the problem.
That's what we said about Chicago. Just let it go. Just like let
Chicago used
Allen
him.
Robinson's career die.
Chicago used him the right way, but just Mitch didn't throw the ball. The problem is in LA, Allen Robinson is like a Dez Bryant, like a jump ball. Mm-hmm. It's what he does. He doesn't run a whole lot of routes. He's a one-on-one ball.
That's what I'm saying. Let his career die. Just like
but the Rams can't protect Matt Stafford. The timing, you can't develop the deep pass, which then you're forcing Cooper Kupp to sit there on a 5-yard hitch and take all these short passes and see what he could do with it. Mm-hmm. But also you can't run the ball, so teams don't really. When you do play action, teams aren't going to take you seriously. Because what are you going to do? Is Cam Akers going to break one on me? No.
Not anymore.
No.
Came back like years before. He looked good, and then
they rushed him back. They rushed him back.
And once he came
from
back
that Achilles,
not been the same. It's kind of sad.
So and I don't get why everybody thinks OBJ is gonna fix all the Rams' problems because it won't.
Another guy that just came off ACL. Come on. This is why he's better. Odell's better off going with like a team like Kansas City. Like you remember? Did those rumors come out right?
Or Kelsey restructured his contract. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like. That makes sense because you have Kelsey, you have
Juju's caught on the last couple games.
Juju just not looking bad.
Scantling,
like,
you have a bunch of guys.
Exactly, you got a lot of like
guys who do different things.
Quarterback that's Aaron Rodgers-esque in the sense of like it. Actually, he's better than Aaron Rodgers because like Aaron Rodgers can't do crap with these receivers, but like Mahomes is like, give me whoever, I'm gonna make them look good. Like they'll get what they need,
Right. Yeah.
And that was like a worry. I think beginning of the season losing Hill, you're like, how are they gonna address that? And it's like, who cares?
They're still bad.
Like you can have the best corner on my best receiver. Well, I'm not gonna even throw it there. First of all, I'm gonna look to my other guy who can barely beat your second corner, and I'm gonna lay a dime.
Right. Second topic on this list from ESPN's overreactions week 7. Even with Christian McCaffrey, the Niners are still not a real Super Bowl contender.
That's an overreaction.
You think? Yeah.
Like that, like especially in the NFC.
I think there's no contender in the NFC right now.
There's no clear cut. So
No,
like
there's
it's
not.
just like one of those like Philly is a front runner. They're not the clear cut. You have
Minnesota, but
Minnesota,
you got
not the clear cut. You're not completely sold, but you like what you're seeing.
right.
And I think that applies to teams like the Giants. You like what you're seeing, not completely.
They can't
sold.
go. They can't go all the way. Seriously.
Um,
There's no one in the South, and then
you have like and Dallas, another one's like you like what you see, you're not completely sold, but you're still like.
they gotta
And
see.
then the Niners are one of those. Like
yeah.
Like it's just, I like what I see. There's like those guys that I named. They all have potential to be the representation of the NFC, but like, it's all about like everything has to go a certain way, and it's just,
Yeah. I still think
It's a long season. It's a long
I still think the AFC is going to come out on top with the Super Bowl champ, whoever it is.
Did you see the corgi that does like the predictions and everything?
Who did it pick?
It picked the Bills
Okay.
and the Cowboys.
I mean, it could happen.
But it did pick the Bills to win it.
This
And
would
I
be
was like,
would be
I
the
don't
one year for the Cowboys to kind of go all the way, because anybody in the NFC could really step up and go all the way. I feel like there's no, like you said, there's no clear cut favorite.
Mhm.
So not an overreaction. The Niners are not a favorite even with McCaffrey. Now this next one is going to be fun. Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers are both going to miss the playoffs. I think that's not an overreaction.
It's not an overreaction, but it's a reaction. Cause like you saw me, like like it's literally just like
Reaction.
it's just a knee jerk. Like whoa, you're onto something, because Minnesota, they got a lead on. They're building a nice, comfortable lead where they don't have to worry about it. So now Rodgers is focused on.
I think Aaron's
You're looking at teams like the Giants where you lost to. You're looking at these teams that you're gonna claw your way back on. It's like you're gonna fight for just a playoff spot. Like they already have some of these games on you, and they have the not only the wins but the games against you. So Aaron Rodgers, I think, is very unlikely to make playoffs. Tom Brady, it's because of y'all's division. Y'all have to take care of business in order for me to
Here's a little updated, I guess a little tidbit, if you will. Dennis Allen just announced that Dalton will be the starter going forward.
For the rest.
Jameis Winston is healthy, but this is about performance, and right now Dalton has outperformed Jameis Winston, which is fair.
Not a bad point.
That's fair.
That's not an overreaction.
No, it is not.
But yeah, like I'm 50-50 on it. Like Aaron Rodgers, I can see missing the playoffs. That one, like I'm agreeing to that. Brady, it's because the South is just not there yet. It's not like, give me like 3 more weeks and I can tell you, be like, oh yeah, Brady's not gonna make it. And it's like, I think a lot of the issue is that offense, and more specifically the O-line.
I think
that O-line is not that good.
I think the Bucks and the Saints almost have the same identical problem, in that they both hired defensive-minded coaches from within their organization. Mm-hmm. They kept the coaching staffs pretty much intact because continuity, familiarity, it's all there. Mm-hmm. Now you just take out the head guy, and I think with Bruce Arians and Sean Payton, both of them are fiery dudes. When you mess up, they let you know you've messed up. They get on your ass.
They correct issues.
And it's all about the small things with them. That's nitpicking everything. And, and look at the quarterbacks. I think when Breeze was in New Orleans, guys didn't have to vocally step up and get everybody on the same page, because Drew Brees did that for the Saints for so long. Mm-hmm. And now you lose that voice in the quarterback room and the offensive room. And then with Tampa, with everything going on with Tom Brady outside of football, I think it's just a lot to ask. It's a lot to put all that pressure on Tom Brady to get it done, right? Mm-hmm. Because
and especially whenever your offense, you have people like Julio Jones, Mike Evans, Leonard Fournette, these other guys that can step up, that can that have the ability to,
take the pressure off Brady.
Yeah, just take pressure off Brady.
Because it's a lot to ask of a 45-year-old to play in the NFL, but then also to go through everything is going through off the field, like mentally, psychologically, that's a lot to take. And I think both teams face the problem. Now, I think my thing is, when healthy, could the Saints take over Tampa for that division? I mean, I think so. In that Week 2 game, it was 3-3 going in the fourth quarter. The defense once again had Tom Brady's number, and then Jameis Winston, did what he did and threw the game away. So I think when healthy, I think the Saints could win the South, and then with kind of the wild card race kind of looking like it's going to be competitive as far as it might be a one-loss separation. I think there's a scenario where I think the Bucs are out, and then maybe they blow it all up if Tom Brady does retire.
Yeah.
But then for Green Bay, I look at it and I think Aaron might just quit on the team. I think at the halfway point, if they're not in it, I mean, he did it to Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
When he got sick of Mike McCarthy, he quit on McCarthy and intentionally got McCarthy kind of outed. I think Aaron is at the point where I don't think he cares. So I think it's not an overreaction to state that both quarterbacks could miss the playoffs, because I think there's a real chance both of them do.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a big possibility.
Because you never want, especially because what do we always say? Oh, never count out Tom Brady, never count out Aaron Rodgers. That's the thing we always say about those two.
And there's times where they could have bailed. Well, at least with Rodgers, that's my thing with Rodgers. That there's opportunities where he could have bailed his team out.
Yeah.
And like you expected a Rodgers to do his thing, and he didn't. And it's like that's the whole point of you being like this is the why like you're compared to being like one of the best.
Right.
And like now it's like, oh, we took away your best receiver. You had this receiver for years, so maybe he covered up a lot of what you were doing,
Yeah. And then I just think with Tampa, you're asking way too much of Tom Brady right now. Someone's got to step up and take some pressure off of Brady, because again, I just could not imagine all that going on outside of football. But, I mean, we'll see. The last one here, or there's two actually. The Colts will have yet another starting quarterback in 2023.
Have they won't, or you're saying they like?
They will. They'll have a new quarterback next year starting. Because since Andrew Luck, it's been Brissett, Phillip Rivers, Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan, and next year it'll be somebody different.
It'll be someone different. But I think it'll be Ellinger from here now.
You think it'll be Ellinger? I think I think right now it might be just a tad of an overreaction, because with the injury and everything, I think you could see Matt Ryan come back next year with the Colts. Might be too early to write him off entirely, because the offensive line was banged up. Jonathan Taylor was banged up early on this year. So maybe they worked on the line. Maybe they do bring Dalton back. I'm not Dalton.
Yes.
Matt Ryan back.
Same thing, right?
I'll say right now overreaction, but it would not shock me if next year it's an Ellinger or somebody else. But I'll say for right now, it's maybe a tad bit of an overreaction.
I say it's gonna be.
You think it'd be? Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, that's.
And the last one here, the Bengals are still a strong threat to repeat as AFC champions.
That is not an overreaction.
It's not.
Like, it's fair. Like, it's because, like, this is how they were last season. They were, like, looking
slow.
Like,
yeah.
Oh, man. But they are a team that's, like, gets better over time. Like, it literally, week in and week out, they just look stronger and stronger. It's mind-boggling sometimes to see. It's just like, what? Like, how do you, like, it feels like, how do they top it this week? How do they do it? And then they somehow do it. Like, I think the greatest game that I saw from them was the Chiefs last year,
Yeah.
Because the week before they played, was it the Tennessee, right? Played a great game. It's like, damn, how are they going to, like, now they're going, against Kansas City. And was it in Kansas City or is it in Cincy?
In Kansas City.
It was in Kansas City, and they took care of business. Like, they outplayed Mahomes. Like, it was like a playmaker, like it was just like, I don't know. It was one of those, like, wow.
Yeah, and I think right now it's really a 3-team race. It's Kansas City, it's Buffalo, and then there's the Bengals. And I think defensively, they're a very sneaky good defense. And they're doing all this without really a running game. Like Joe Mixon, they've struggled to run the ball this year. And I know the offensive line got off to a horrible start, but now it looks like they're meshing, and they're doing a better job protecting Joe Burrow. And, look, between Higgins, Boyd, and Jamar Chase, that's a scary trio right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's not an overreaction to say that they could easily go back and repeat because
very, very good possibility.
because I mean again
I think
it's
Buffalo
like
just looks so.
they do.
That's the counterpoint.
It's Buffalo.
Buffalo looks
and
insanely good.
And I mean, you know, last year was a coin toss to determine who played the Bengals, right? So, do you think the Bengals beat Buffalo last year in Buffalo in the playoffs? I don't know. That's a tough question, but they beat the Chiefs.
Exactly.
So it's like those three teams, they're going to be duking it out for the right to go to the Super Bowl. And I think since he goes back, it would not shock me whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
But
if it's Cincy and Dallas, I'd take that. I'd be like,
a rematch with a Dak.
Yeah, with Dak and yeah, that's pretty much it. I was gonna say I would love to pick on Lyle again, being his bodyguard, right? Shout out, and you know what? I'm gonna say shout out to all the free agents that are, I wouldn't say aren't producing, but like just shout out to all the guys that left us. Like, we didn't need y'all. But like I said, like I'm kind of joking when I say that, just because like people were. It bothered me that like people were saying like Dallas has like lost so many things, and it was just like we addressed them, like we adjusting them accordingly. Like we weren't gonna pay Cedric Wilson. What has he done? Does he have highlights?
No, it's a two-man show. Miami at the receiver position.
Exactly, and that's how I knew it was gonna be. I was like, why did we need Cedric then, or Cedric? If they were gonna go, they were willing to do that. Lyle, I was like, bro lost his job to Terrence Steele. I was like, why are y'all like butthurt about that? Connor Williams, I was just like, yeah, isn't he part of the line that got Tua killed? Like damn near killed? Like, I mean, I don't know. I was just like, the only one that I'm like, you can complain about is Cooper, but even then, I like our receiving core. And my issue is that Amari Cooper would get these little injuries that would put him out for like maybe a week or two. And like, you know, it just would be like an off and on thing with him. Kind of like Tyron, you know?
Right.
But that was my little Cowboys gripe, I guess, or rant today. At least for free agency.
I get that. Okay. So before we get to our picks for this week, let's talk a little Halloween, Tony, because
yes, sir.
Halloween, you love Halloween.
Yes.
That's your type. That's your type of season.
I was actually wearing Nightmare Before Christmas socks at the gym today. I had the lock, shock, and barrel from Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
I had a barrel and the.
So you consider Nightmare Before Christmas a Halloween movie?
Yeah.
It's not a Christmas movie.
You could throw it on Christmas, but I'd say it's
a Halloween.
It's more of a Halloween.
Okay, so
you start off saying this is Halloween. I'm sorry, that's
case in point.
Yeah.
So I mean, what's going on with Halloween? Like I know there was a lot of movies that came out.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard Halloween kind of flopped.
Yeah, that
pretty
one
bad.
hasn't done that great, and I think another thing is that it's on streaming, so like. It's probably not doing too good in box office because of that reason too. But I heard it's just not that good either.
Yeah.
But I still need to do my due diligence and see it. I'm one of those like I love Halloween and like the series itself too. So
Is it your favorite slasher?
He's my favorite slasher. Behind him is probably Freddy's up there. I like Freddy. I'm not a huge Jason guy. And I think he's a little overrated.
It's because they haven't done anything because he is facing some kind of issue with his rights with Universal.
That doesn't shock me at all.
And that's why they haven't seen anything from Friday the 13th wise in like 20 years, 10 plus years it feels like.
And then, Chucky's funny. Like I'm not scared of him. Pinhead is cool for what they are. Leatherface is pretty.
I like Jeepers Creepers.
Jeepers Creepers is good.
I like Jeepers Creepers.
The second one is my favorite movie. That's the one my grandma had at her house, and I'd always just watch it and just be terrified.
What else? Did you mention Freddy?
Yeah, that's my second favorite. I think he's my second favorite. I think I'm like
the whole concept of Nightmare on Elm Street is just so damn terrifying.
Oh yeah,
like how he waits for you to go to sleep and then kills you in your dream.
It's pretty.
That's a terrifying concept.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think Freddy's gonna be my number 2. Cause I feel like I had someone else, but I can't quite remember. So Ghostface. See that the
For
thing
Scream.
is, it's like it's just always a different person. So it's like you could say you have your favorite ones like Billy Loomis or whoever, but I think Ghostface, the look of Ghostface is like one of my favorites. Like definitely iconic, and it's got a good like franchise. It's probably got one of the strongest franchise for a horror film.
What's your favorite part about Halloween?
I just like how the weather is. It's usually just right. It's just right, and then you get to just dress up and be dramatic.
Yeah.
Also, the music, everything about it like is great. That reminds me. Like, what do you think is your most like iconic costume that you've ever wore?
Oh, that's tough.
Because I have I think 2.
It might have been when I did the Joker.
That was pretty dope.
It might have been. It might be the Joker costume. No, definitely Joker. Because I think there's probably about a 3-year span where I would just went as Drew Brees every year for Halloween. Mm-hmm. The jersey, the helmet, and some black sweat. There's a span where about 2 or 3 years that was the costume. So it's definitely the Joker for me.
I remember Bruce Lee.
I was Bruce Lee. That was just my Taekwondo uniform.
Hell yeah!
It was so creative.
You made it work.
Definitely Joker though. When I had the face paint, had the purple outfit and everything, was definitely Joker.
See, mine, it's come to 2. One is my personal favorite. It's one of my personal favorites, and it was Batman Beyond. My brother and I dressed up as Terry McGinnis, and we went to my cousin. She went to Baylor. Mm-hmm. Shout out Megan. And had she still has the picture of us wearing the costumes. We just went trick or treating out there for some reason. I don't know why. It was just a, little thing that they had. But yeah, we dressed up as Batman Beyond. That was one of my favorite costumes of all time. Just because, that's my favorite Batman.
Were you actually the suit and everything?
Yeah, they had the black. But it was a normal Batman one, but it had the red logo and you had the belt still, so it was pretty dope. Okay. And it did come with a cape, but it was the smaller one. So how he kind of so it was a little bit more. Still kind of had the face, but you were Batman. And then a close second, or I think this is one of probably my most iconic one, but it's that Batman Beyond one has a special place in my heart.
Right.
It's probably Nacho Libre.
Okay.
I did that one, and I got the actual costume, but we cut off because it was a muscle, a shirt that I wouldn't say it had muscles and stuff. We cut that off so I could be shirtless during Halloween, and it was a hit. That was a hit. I had the mask, had the pants on, and I was just walking around the neighborhood. Everybody loved it. That was a pretty good costume.
Your neighborhood was the best for Halloween.
Huh?
Your neighborhood was the best for Halloween.
Yeah, for sure.
Mine always sucked. I hated my neighborhood for Halloween. Because it wasn't a kid-friendly neighborhood.
That's true.
There weren't a lot of kids.
Yeah, ours was very kid-friendly. There was...
Because you're up by an elementary school and everything.
Exactly. Yeah. It was just and we just kind of, I wouldn't say all knew each other. It's that neighborhood was we didn't it wasn't people from how do I put it?
It
was a brand new neighborhood. So most of us knew each other from the beginning, when these houses were brand new.
Yeah.
So everybody was kind of cool with each other. And then like you said, kid friendly. But yeah.
I like the narwhal costume you had. The narwhal was fun.
The unicorn mask and
the hot dog.
That's pretty iconic.
It was a unique narwhal, but
I literally don't I don't know what possessed me to say that, but I was I'm going with it, and I made it work.
It was a narwhal, a hot dog costume with the unicorn mask, and you cut the hole so the horn could poke out.
Exactly. That was a little over the top, but
it worked. Mm-hmm. For the shindig we went to, it worked.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of other ones that I had. We used to always do Power Rangers. So I had Time Force.
I was
not Wildstorm. We didn't have Ninja Storm either. We had Lost Galaxy. I know we did Lost Galaxy. I don't think we did Lightspeed Rescue.
I think I did Buzz one year.
That's dope.
And then I was Org 1 year.
Who?
Org from I was little from Dragon Tales.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, my
That's
sister
good.
was Cassie, and I was Org one
That's
year.
cute. I'm trying to think of other ones that I had when we were little.
1 year I pulled the classic ghost sheet, like sheet, a white sheet with holes.
We have never done that.
I did that
in our
1
family.
year. I did that one time. Never again.
Yeah, like I think I remember having like a ninja costume, and like there was a chest one where like they had like a star sticking out of the chest, like it like
Yeah.
kind of like that was pretty cool. I think I've done like Darth Vader. Pretty sure I've done Darth Vader. I know for Disney World I dressed up as Obi-Wan, and there's a picture of me with like shitty like face paint. Like it's not even face paint. This was like I'm pretty sure like my mom's makeup type shit, and like they drew on a beard, and it's like disgusting looking.
I need to see that.
I have the like Obi-Wan, like I got the costume, like it's a legit costume. I got the lightsaber. It's just the beard, like, you know, I had to have the whole thing. You know, I couldn't just go as like the robes. I was like, that's not. Obi-Wan has a beard. That's a man right there, you know?
It's just a painted on.
Yeah, and it's
brown paint to make it look like his beard.
I feel like I can find it.
I need to see this. Next year we need to like a shindig or something.
I am down. Because this year I wouldn't say I didn't plan enough. Like I was fixated on costumes. But I wasn't like more or less planned. So like I'm always like, let me get a costume first, then like work out plans. And I was so focused on the costume I didn't make plans, which is fine. I don't really care.
What are you doing this year then?
I think I'm just going to my parents' house because.
But the costume wise.
Oh, so I'm gonna do probably Willy Wonka because I found this like purple jacket while thrifting, and I found these
Johnny Depp Willy Wonka.
It's my own twist on it. It's gonna be like, you know,
okay.
But kind of like drawing inspiration from both. I kind of had like the Johnny Depp hair, you know.
Okay, but like the Gene Wilder, like typical like Willy Wonka
it's gonna
outfit.
Be a purple jacket and the brown pants, kind of like Gene Wilder. You know?
Okay.
And then be kind of like do like dramatic stuff like Wilder, like kind of do somersaults. And then, like just have them mannerisms as Johnny's though. You know? Like kind of throwing like a little bit of
mix it up
here and there.
Make your own thing
Put,
on
like
it.
these shades on instead of like the what's it called, the goggles that like
okay.
Johnny Depp wears. But like again, like it's my own twist on it. But you're gonna tell it's Willy Wonka. I'm gonna have the top hat and then a cape.
Okay.
Too.
I'm telling you, next year. I told you this earlier in the year. We need to go as Anakin and all. You got the hair for Anakin.
See, yeah.
Episode 3, Anakin, you got it.
Yeah, and get the yellow contacts. That'd be pretty sick. I'd do that.
And I got like weirdly enough, I had black hair, but I had like light brown facial hair. I could do the beard
for Obi-Wan. See, I can't grow a beard, so I had to be Anakin.
You got to be Anakin, and we could. And we'll do that. Well, we'll throw the shindig, and we'll do the costumes.
And then we're gonna like.
And we'll randomly have a fight in the middle.
We're gonna be.
We will reenact the fight on Mustafar in front of everybody.
We're gonna be gone. Like hopefully, just so far inebriated that like
we're so into it we can't back out.
Yeah, exactly, and everybody's gonna be watching.
Like
it's gonna be dramatic.
I'm gonna randomly walk in and go, "Your new empire."
Don't make me kill you. Just start going like, but making it over the top too, like yelling it.
People are gonna be looking
to the republic, to democracy.
All the Sith deals in absolutes. I will do what I must.
God, that is like, iconic.
Like we're still be so into it that people are gonna be staring at like, well, we've committed.
It's like
we can't
really
stop
doing this right now. They're gonna like, are they really doing this?
We can't stop.
And so we need to get like a nicer I'd rather indulge in like the episode 3 costume and like make it look legit.
Yeah. We'll do that. That's gonna be. We're gonna plan it right now.
The wheels are turning.
Yeah, the wheels are turning. We're gonna get it all planned out. It's gonna be dope.
And every year I want to do Mando, but I never do it because it's just such a, like I said, it's expensive.
Because he's in right now. Everybody wants to do Mando.
That, like the cheap ones, I wouldn't say the cheap ones. They're not even cheap costumes. Like the costumes you get at like Party City or Halloween City or Spirit, they're all like $70. And I'm getting like a crappy like mask that I'm putting on. All this is like cloth. It doesnn't look like any like if it had plastic armor. And it wasn't even like painted all that great. That's fine. I don't care. Like that's enough. But like it's all like fabric and it's all like just plushy. And it's like I want something like I don't need like metal armor. I want like plastic. I want to like kind of look a little bit more like
Your own
it's
thing.
armor, you know.
Yeah.
It's armor, kind of like stormtroopers, you know, costumes. You
Yeah.
know, like it's plastic, but yeah, no, it's armor. And then like I want to get a nice helmet, and then have YB as Grogu.
I feel.
He makes the sounds just like him. Like anytime I pick him up, he's just like, and I'm like, God,
You little green alien.
he's a little goblin.
I dig that. So, real quick before we wrap things up, let's get our week picks in real quick. As we know, we do it Fox style, so a lock and an upset. I will kick it off here. I'll give you a moment to look at the schedule, Tony.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go with.
You're doing your picks of the week?
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Give me the Saints and a lock over the Raiders.
Oh.
Shout out Javante. I know you're watching.
Wow.
Give me the Raiders. Give me the Saints and a lock. I think when healthy, I think they could beat the Raiders.
Okay.
Give me. Give me. Sheesh. Give me the Texans over the Titans as my upset.
Texans over the Titans as the upset. I
Yeah.
like that.
A battle of the running backs. Give me the give me the Texans.
Okay. I think my lock for the week is gonna go. I think I have my upset. My lock is gonna be. This is interesting. There's a lot of games. There's a lot of interesting games. Not great games, but interesting. My lock, give me Bengals over Browns.
Okay.
But my upset is gonna be. Now, can you consider this an upset? The Jets over the Patriots.
Yes.
Okay.
I think based on the narrative and, with the Jets losing Brees Hall, yeah, I could tell you the Jets is an upset.
And I was like another one.
Oh, is it? It's at Gillette too, right?
It's in New York.
Or is it? It's okay. No, it's still an upset. Yeah, I consider that an upset.
I think the close one was going to be Commanders over the Colts.
What could have been a Carson Wentz revenge game? What could have been, but now it's Heineke against Sam Ehlinger.
I thought there would be a revenge games against Philly earlier this season. No. Played like ours. Gave us negative points. We had him in fantasy. He gave us negative points at one point in that game.
Shish.
Eventually came back and gave us like something decent. Wasn't anything great.
Better than negative.
Exactly. But
hey,
you want to run through the games in general?
Yeah, we can real quick.
Okay.
We'll do it real quick.
Start off with tomorrow's.
Yeah, Thursday night.
Give me the Ravens.
Give me. I think the biggest problem with Baltimore is they hold leads in the fourth quarter, and they seem to almost blow it every time. They would have done against Cleveland this week,
Yeah, that was bad.
If not for a real ticky-tacky call at the end. So give me Tampa, but I'm not like confident in Tampa. But
yeah, I'm
Tampa.
taking Baltimore, but like again, like low score. I just think that Tampa's defense is gonna get worn out.
Yeah,
like it does every week,
for sure.
So next we have Broncos at Jacksonville.
In London, Jacksonville.
I love London games. I love Sunday morning having a game.
Jags in London that's their true home team. It's not in Jacksonville.
Yeah, give me the Jags just because I think they're better, and I think Russ is out again, right? He was declared out.
Did you? I don't think he was quite yet.
But
he practiced this week, but even with Russ, give me the Jags.
Jacksonville just looks like a good team.
Yep.
Never thought I'd see It's been a while since I've been able to say that.
2017.
Last time I've been able to say that was when Fournette was there.
And Blake Bortles.
What a good team. That was a great team.
Okay.
Anyway, Dolphins, Miami at Detroit.
Miami.
You had Miami.
I thought about picking Detroit as my upset this week, but with Tua back in the lineup, that's a completely different Dolphin team.
You know what? If DeAndre Swift is back, give me Detroit.
Okay.
If he's not back, give me Miami.
Okay. I dig that.
Next is Carolina at Atlanta.
Give me Carolina. They're playing hot right now. I think Terrell might not play.
I have a tie. That's going to be a tie. Like it's gonna be like a good, fun game to watch. I think it's gonna be a tie.
Tie, okay.
Like if anything, it goes into OT, and that'll decide. But I think that's a strong possibility for a tie for me.
All right.
Next is Arizona and Minnesota. That's a good game.
Arizona, I think with D-Hop back in the lineup, that's the biggest thing.
And
they might get Connor back this week too.
And I'm just not super sold on Minnesota. If Minnesota wins this game, I'm gonna be like, okay, that's gonna be the team to take the North.
Okay.
So give me Arizona, but there's still hope for Minnesota.
Okay.
Chicago and Dallas.
Dallas.
I'll take Dallas. Vegas against New Orleans.
New Orleans. They're gonna get some key guys back this week.
That's what I was thinking.
They're gonna get Lattimore back.
They're gonna get
Lattimore back.
What about Debo? Or is he a couple more weeks? What was his injury?
Ankle.
Was it sprained or?
I'm not really sure. They never really stated that to us.
I'm gonna say it's in New Orleans. Give me New Orleans.
Give me New Orleans.
It'll be a tough game. It'll be close. It'll be a grinding game, but give me New Orleans.
Okay.
Pittsburgh and Philly.
Philly. Pittsburgh's got some things to figure out with Kenny Pickett. Philly. They'll abuse that offensive line.
Too good of a team. Like if it was like another team that was like on the up and coming, I would take that other team just because I think sometimes bye weeks can get to a team, especially I don't know. I just feel like Philly's gonna come out a little bit sloppy, and then they're gonna win, but it won't look like anything convincing. New England versus New York Jets. I'm gonna take the Jets as my upset.
Give me New England in this game. But if the Jets pull it off, 6-2, that's no fluke. Okay. That might be for real if that's the case.
I like that. Tennessee and Houston. You took Houston as your upset.
Yes.
I'm gonna ride that bandwagon. I'm gonna ride off that coattail and say Tennessee will lose to
Houston. Okay.
In Houston.
Okay.
Next we got New York Giants against Seattle in Seattle. I think Seattle takes this one.
Give me Seattle.
And it'll be again a close, grinding game.
Yeah,
but I think Seattle just will come out on top. They're going to be the one that outlasts New York. Next is the Commanders versus the Colts. I'll take the Commanders on this one.
Commanders.
Okay. Next 49ers at the Rams.
Niners.
It'll be a close game, but I'll take Niners.
Niners.
Packers at Bills.
Bills.
I'll take Bills, but I think Green Bay's gonna make it interesting. That's another.
That could happen.
That one.
That would be like
that.
That would be like the Rodgers thing to happen, right? Like he's back against the wall, had an ugly loss on the road.
That's why I was this close to making that my upset.
Buffalo's a hot team that make it close, kind of gives you some hope in Green Bay. Mm-hmm. So that would make the most sense, yeah.
And then on Halloween nights, we have Bengals versus Browns.
Bengals.
Take Bengals both of us. I like that.
Cleveland's cooked. They're
cooked? Do you think so?
Ew. They might keep the ship afloat until Watson gets back. They might. They just might do that, but we'll have to wait and see.
That's if Watson comes back.
Yeah, he's got a couple more allegations came out against him. So
the ending of the Green Bay game.
That was not very well practiced. You could tell.
You could tell, and I love that it was just
complete utter
nonsense.
Yep.
Like this was desperate. It's pathetic.
The lateral that never was in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
I dig that.
I'll watch it real quick. Because doesn't Rodgers get the ball and just throws it out of bounds? Basically,
that's a forward pass too.
Oh yeah. See, and then it went out of bounds. That's so funny.
Oh,
I love that.
But
I love that story. TJ Watt returns to practice.
Hey, that's good for the Steelers. That's a big plus for the Steelers. But so I think it's to wrap it up today, my dude.
Wait 1 second.
No.
I want to talk about this. Apparently Roquan cried after Robert Quinn got traded.
Because he didn't get traded. Roquan thought it was for him, probably.
That's funny. Eagles reportedly sent a 4th round pick to the Bears.
That's That's well, they're taking on the big contract too that Robert Quinn got from the Bears.
Mm-hmm. It's just kind of crazy that you're crying over. I like, you know what? Let men cry. I was just like, wow. I didn't know that he meant that much to the team.
Because it wasn't him.
It was just more or less, wow. I was shocked.
It's because it wasn't him.
Yeah, I was like, that's funny, but that makes sense actually.
It wasn't Roquan that got the call. It was Robert Quinn. But Tony, this is always a pleasure, my dude.
Absolutely.
And assuming we get the time figured out next week, we'll have you back on as always. And don't forget, folks, like, subscribe to the channel. You can leave your comments, throw your questions at us down there at the bottom. We'll have to answer them, interact with you guys. And shoot, until then, you're going home with the final drive. See you guys next week.